Hey guys, this week we are talking about building a Frankenstein casino. Yeah, we'll explain more. Blackjack frustrations and the CV Big Wheel fun, so stick around. This episode is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Switch today and get a free Samsung S24 or an iPhone with any new line. Learn more at Verizon.com.
Welcome to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Vegas, here we come.
Vegas!
Here are your hosts, Chris and Josh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 60 of the Crap Vegas podcast. I am Chris. He's Josh. Josh, what's going on?
Well, Chris, when you record the coming up on our show, half the time I'm listening to those and putting the final show together or re-listening to it. I'm like, did we talk about that? So I'm always wondering. I try and get Chris to record those at the end of the show because then we know what we'll talk about, because you never know what direction I'm going to take us.
No, that's 100% true. But at the same time, I know if we try to do that, we'll forget. Then there won't be any sort of clue what's coming up in the episode. So I'd rather be wrong than have nothing. How's that?
I like it. But I'm excited about this show. The Frankenstein casino is going to be interesting.
It's something Josh and I have talked about hundreds of times over the years. No, just kidding. We got an email from a listener that asked us a question along those lines. So we thought it'd be a fun thing to tackle. But Josh, what else we got going on right now?
Well, Chris, have you seen Deadpool versus Wolverine yet?
No, I really want to get and see it soon if I can. I've seen Twisters, which was really good.
I want to see that. As someone
Really
that loves
liked it.
disaster movies, I want to see Twisters.
Yeah, but Deadpool, Wolverine, I haven't seen yet. I really do want to. I love Ryan Reynolds. He's hilarious. Everything I've seen on social media so far makes me think, yes, I have to get out there and see it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We've been with our daughter off at camp. My wife and I have been doing all sorts of things like going to movies and going on drives. And are you familiar with I'm sure you're not. There's a little town in Washington called Leavenworth, not Leavenworth, Kansas, where the prison is. This is Leavenworth, Washington. And it's about 2.5, 3 hours outside of Seattle. If you ever come to Seattle and you're up for a road trip adventure, Leavenworth is spectacular. It's in the kind of the lower eastern side of the Cascade Mountains, and it's somewhere along the way. I'm going to make up the dates, but let's say in the 1970s, somebody brought up the idea of creating a Bavarian store of some sort, and it has become a Bavarian town. Like now it's in the town charter and everything that you have to build in the, the architecture of Bavaria. And so they have all sorts of Bavarian, Oktoberfest stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's why I like the Heidi slot machine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And a couple of things. One, I've always pronounced it Bavarian. So I do like your interesting pronunciation. I don't know which one's right, honestly. Right? That's just always what I've called it. And number two, you started saying with my daughter, I was thinking you took your young daughter, to see Deadpool Wolverine.
No, she's at
and
camp.
I'm thinking that is not appropriate, Josh.
Although there were some kids in the theater, but no, she's off at camp. So it's just me and my wife went off to see Deadpool. But no, back to Leavenworth. It is, if you're ever there, it's beautiful. It's really pretty. Lots of hotels and places to stay. But on the weekends, it is swamped with tourists and, visitors and stuff because it's really pretty. They're skiing in the winter, mountain stuff. There's one of those mountainside roller coasters. Have you seen those?
Okay. Yeah, Josh, I just came back from Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That has about 87 of them. I mean,
this is like built on the side of a mountain, though. It's terrifying.
No, that's how. Well,
That's yours.
Yeah,
is
that's
too?
what Gatlinburg is.
Well,
it's in the mountains, in the Great Smoky
I don't
Mountains.
know. Did you see Dolly?
Oh yeah, multiple times on tons of
she
billboards.
sometimes goes through Dollywood in her little horse and
she
carriage
wasn't
thing.
out there. But no, I didn't see her. But I saw her presence was well known in the city while I was there.
So that's what's going on with me. What about you?
Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I got nothing to
Other
say.
than back from Pigeon Fjord.
Yeah, back from Pigeon Fjord. Yeah, it was a great time for the
And
weekend.
yes, I'm saying that on purpose. Anybody who knows.
Yeah, I mean, I hate driving. So anything more than like a 60-minute car drive, I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to do it. Pigeon Forge is 4.5 hours from my house, and driving
That's
multiple
too
kids
much
down there
with
both
kids.
ways. Yeah, just too much. I was ready to be home, ready to be done with it. It was a good time, but yeah, other than that and being swamped at work, yeah, just not a lot of time for anything else right now.
See, I love road trips. That's like taking my wife to Leavenworth. It was like 5 hours back and forth. And I'm like, that's perfect for me.
Zero chance. Unless they have an airport there that has a direct flight from Louisville, I'm not going to be there. So
Chris is not going to Leavenworth.
not happening. Okay, Josh, let's tell people how to get a hold of us. You can send us an email. That is podcast@crapvegas.com. You can join us on our Facebook group. That's crapvegas.com/Facebook. you can leave us a voicemail, crapvegas.com/voicemail, or the easiest way is always going to be on Twitter.
X.
He's at Vegas Duffy. I'm at Small Whale 13, or the show page is at Crap Vegas. The only other thing, Josh, before we get to previous episode feedback, I do want to mention cvhost.com again. We've been having some really good success and interest in that. I think we have well over 50 reviews now. I mean, some properties we have like 5 or 6 hosts available for you. It's really growing quickly. And because the reception's been so good for it, we are working with a couple people trying to find the right web developer to really build up that site, to add some more technology to it, make it more easily searchable, have you be able to log in and track reviews and all sorts of stuff we're considering. We're working on that now. It's not a small undertaking. It's well outside what I can do from a web developing standpoint. So we're trying to find the right person. It's a big financial investment. So just want to make sure we're going to do it right from the beginning, and that once it's built, we can expand this thing across the U.S. to different territories and do all sorts of things.
Yeah, because if you haven't figured it out, there's a little bit of a Wizard of Oz situation going on here, that Chris is the man behind the curtain.
Yes.
And if you're leaving those reviews, Chris is doing all this by hand behind the scenes. And I think it's a lot of work, and we're hoping to have it a little more automated, I guess is the right word, so that you don't have to do quite as much, and then it's scalable.
It's not sustainable as is. This works for the first 100 reviews.
Right.
But after 100, I'm going to go insane trying to update things and build pages for people. It needs to be an actual searchable database that automatically populates based off what we want it to. But it's not an easy undertaking. I know a lot of you have reached out and offered people that you may know that do that sort of thing. I mean, we've reached out to a lot of those people just to get some quotes and stuff. But in the meantime, I'll keep doing it by hand because I think it's important to get the information out there. And hey, we were first to market with this, Josh, so I'm not going to drop it now. So
that's right.
Keep sending me your reviews. And again, that's cvhosts.com, or you can just go to the Crap Vegas page and there's a link at the top of the page.
Perfect.
Previous episode feedback. We received an email from Michael. Michael said, "Hey guys, love the show and it's always at the top of my queue when each new episode comes out. I'll join Patreon as soon as I have my next big craps win. This will be an incentive for me to play more and maybe provide some lucky karma as well." 2 follow-up comments on your mailbag from the last episode. First one, Josh. For Anthony's email about the all-tall small, he lamented about being 1 number away from hitting. Have you guys ever discussed last number hedging on the all-tall small? An example, needing only the 11, placing a bet on the 7 to ensure you get something in the worst case scenario. Yes, hedges cost money, but probably a reasonable amount given the anguish of walking away empty-handed. Anyways, this might be a great topic if you've not discussed it already. Josh, that is something that we've talked about before, but let's recap it. Let's say it's an even easier number to deal with here, Josh. Let's say you're a 10 away. It's a box number that you could easily put a lay bet out on it. It's the last number you need for a big hit. Will you lay the number to hedge against a 7 coming, or will you just wait and see what happens?
Or, as Michael said, will I bet the big red, maybe? So the answer is I will not bet a big red. I won't bet on the 7 to come. And I won't lay the number either. But as we kind of mentioned before, Michael, and thanks for the questions, Chris and I both, as you probably know, usually place all the numbers. So what Chris does, and he'll probably expand on it, and I do sometimes, is take down that place bet. If I have a place or a buy bet on, I think you said, Chris, in your example, the 10 was still to come, I might take that 10 down. But I don't like laying it, because to me, the fun of those prop bets is the big payoff. And I'm not getting the big payoff that I'm going for. I'm taking the big house edge. I mean, I'm playing against a big house edge for that big payoff. And if I'm laying it, yes, it's a guaranteed win of some sort, but I'm not going to win nearly the amount I was hoping for.
Yeah. I mean, in my eyes, Josh, it's a bad bet as is, and we know it's a bad bet. But if you're going to hedge against it when you get that opportunity, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible bet, because you're taking the chance of actually getting the big win that helps bring the house edge down, and you're cutting it even further. No, I would never hedge, period. I don't care if it's a box number or what, I'm not hedging. And I will say, if you're talking about taking an any 7, a big red bet, that's not even a hedge, because you can make that
really
bet.
Not.
You could make that bet 30 rolls in a row. A 7 never comes, but you never make the feature. And then you're just completely screwed. The only thing you really can do is, if it's a box number, you can lay it. so that if the number rolls, you make the all tall small. If a 7 comes first, then you win the lay bet. I don't like doing that. I won't do it. I know plenty of people do. I just think it's a silly move to make. But yeah, I would definitely stay away from hedging with a 7. That's not going to help you at all. And that could be disastrous financially.
And Chris, something you do that I don't do as much is you will oftentimes come down again, saying that, for example, it's the point is a 10 or the missing number rather is a 10. You'll come down on your 10, your buy bet, and move that amount over to the 4. So you're doubling oftentimes whatever it was you had on the 4.
I'll take down the bet that will complete the small or the tall,
right.
But I'll just put it on the sister bet.
Right.
So if it's a 10 that we need, I'll just say put the 10 on the 4. If it's a 9, I'll say put the 9 on the 5, 8, put the 8 on the 6. I do that because my thought is I'm going to get more if the feature hits than I would have got on the other number. And it provides some balance on the table for me so that, if that 10 never does come that we need, at least if the 4 hits, I'll get twice as much as I was going to get before. It gives me something else to do, but no, I definitely won't hedge. Second part of the question that he had, Josh, for Nate's email about other last a long time but occasional pop games that we talked about last episode, he said Pai Gow would be a great option in his opinion. So many hands push that you can last a very long time on a limited bankroll, and the fortune and progressive bets provide that occasional pop that he craves. Just a thought there. I don't play Baccarat that you mentioned, but I think they have similar side bets for that extra pop too, with lots of pushes in between.
I like that idea. Pai Gow's a great game for a lot of different reasons. A great game if you just want to sit and drink and kill time. It can give you that big pop for sure that you don't get like in blackjack, for example.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. The only thing I will say is that if you care about rating or comps or anything like that, you're going to get nothing for it. So just keep that in mind as you're playing. He finishes up his email. Keep up the great work and hope to meet you in Vegas someday. May the odds be ever in your favor. Cheers, Michael in Carson City. So thank you, Michael. We appreciate it.
Thank you. You ever been to Carson City?
No, I have not. Have you?
Me? No, I haven't. I'd like to sometime. I hear it's the capital.
I've heard that, but I have no desire to go there.
That's all I know.
There you go. Okay, Josh, we got some episode feedback from Joe over on the CV Facebook group. Joe said, on the last episode, there was a discussion on expected play to be hosted and comped at Venetian. I can't remember what we said, Josh, but if I had to guess, I would probably think that I said anything 200 or north would probably be okay.
Yep, that was, I think, exactly what we said.
Okay. He said, when I started staying there about 2 years back, my host told me point blank expectations for slot players are 4 hours a day at a minimum of $250 per spin. And for tables is 4 hours a day, minimum of 200. So it does validate what I would have said for tables.
Yeah.
The 4 hours at $250 a spin on slots, does that seem slightly low to you?
Well, that was the first thing I thought. It seems low, but 4 hours is a lot of slot play, I think.
It is.
Over the course of a day. So I bet you can get, I don't know for sure. Our slot players would know better, but I bet you can get 10,000 a day and slot in at $250 a spin for 4 hours. I bet that would be a reasonable amount.
I mean, if we were a good show, Josh, I would say, okay, you spin 100 times a minute on average times $250 per spin with a 10% house edge. And I would have a number to spit out right now for you and say, well, here's the Theo
We're crap
loss.
Vegas. We're not slot
But I
Vegas.
didn't do that. So if you want to, that'd probably be a good exercise. But, I guess it's weird, Josh, because slots, who knows how many times they assume that you spin, in an hour. I mean, because some people will spin well north of 100 times a minute.
Right.
And some people may spend 30 times a minute, or some people may spend 15 because they're older and they go slower. I would think that number could be skewed a little bit, but sure. Okay. $250 for 4 hours. If that works for them.
It's a good, if that's what they were told. I mean, I think that's probably reasonable. And the 200 certainly seems exactly like we were thinking. So that makes sense. So just to give you an idea, if you're looking to be hosted at Venetian, that's the range. There you go. Thank you, Joe, for that. Last one, Josh, we got an email from Amber. Chris and Josh, on a recent show, you talked about the all tall small bet and the fire bet. Boy, it's a hot topic today, Josh. The all tall small. We're due. I know. Yeah, we are due. I know you all are big on feature bets and side bets on your table games. What is most important to you? Frequency of them hitting or the payout? And her question is, would you rather have a bet that hits 1 out of 5 rolls, but only pays 4 to 1, or a bet that hits 1 out of 1,000 rolls, but pays 900 to 1? Thanks for all the great content, Amber. Well, thanks, Amber. That's a really good question. And I think, and I don't know if this is true with Chris, I think it probably is, but I'd rather have the 1,000 to 1. if your example was something that hit more frequently and paid 500 to 1, or something that paid more frequently and hit 900 to 1, that which is your example, I think I might choose the 500, but 4 to 1 is no biggie to me. I mean, that's a hard way, or that's something we get more frequently. I want the big, huge payout. What about you, Chris?
I'm the exact same way. I wouldn't even play a feature bet that pays 4 to 1.
Right.
I mean, that has no interest, in my eyes at all. I mean, it's like with the blackjack 3-card poker side bet that existed.
Yeah.
That still exists as far as I know. Originally, when that bet came out, it paid 9 to 1 on all possible combination. Flushes, straights, 3 of a kind. And then all of a sudden, they started doing that 3-card extreme where, the flushes paid only like 4 to 1 and a straight paid 10 to 1 and then 3 of a kind paid 30 to 1 or something like that. When flushes are going to be the most common, of course, no, I just have no desire in playing that. I want big pops. So to get that 9 to 1 is, God, the bare minimum I would expect. But I mean, at least that's the good thing about all tall small is that if you hit it, you're getting 30 to 1 on those bets, or you're getting 150 if you hit the whole thing. So at least you're getting a big enough pop. And that's one of the reasons I really like the fire bet is because when you start getting, a 5-point fire or more, you're getting 250 or 1,000. I mean, it's great pace. So thank you, Amber, for the question. We really appreciate it. Okay, Josh, the main topic time, the Frankenstein Casino. We've hinted at it now a little bit. Let's start with the email that we got from Brent along these topics, and we'll go from there.
That sounds like a great idea. As I said, I'm really excited about this. This was a fun exercise.
Absolutely. Very frustrating at times, I found. But here, let's explain. Email from Brent. Brent said, longtime listener, first-time emailer. You guys have shared so many awesome features of the nicer properties in Vegas, and we have heard the pros and cons of them all. My question is, though, if you could take bits and pieces from different casinos and make a perfect Frankenstein casino from their parts, what would it look like? The only rule, and this is the most frustrating part of the whole thing.
The best part, yeah.
You can only use one feature from each property for each category here. So you can only use Bellagio one time for one of the categories. You can only use Venetian once. And Josh, there's a couple things that some of these casinos do really well. It's hard to pick one thing to assign them to.
And for our listeners, pay attention to these categories. Maybe even write them down if this is interesting to you, because it is a fun exercise trying to come up with this Frankenstein casino.
Okay, so let's list off the categories first, Josh, and then we'll tackle these things. So here's the list he provided. He's got casino entrance, hotel check-in, hotel rooms and suites, sportsbook, cage and cashiers, dealers, slots, table games, dining, shows, spa, pool, and the most interesting of them all, elevators. I don't know how that got its own category, but it sure did.
As you're reading the list, Chris, I'm also thinking of the one that's not on the list that Brent gave us is cocktail servers.
So let's throw that in at the end then, Josh. That will be our own little addition to it. Okay, so Josh, starting at the beginning, casino entrance. So, I mean, I assume this encompasses the porte cochere, the check-in area, like the lobby as you first walk into the casino/resort. In your eyes, what is the best casino entrance in your list?
Well, this is hard because, again, you can only pick one once. So what I tried to do, Chris, when I was going through this list, I didn't look at your answers. I thought, okay, so you guys already know we're partial to Wynn and Sky Suites and those kind of things. I tried to think, I first went down that road and I'm like, that didn't work because I'd want to put Wynn for too many things. So I thought to myself, what are the other properties that I know and what's the best feature of those properties? So I tried to take it from that angle. So whereas I might pick Venetian for the best lobby casino entrance in all of Las Vegas, for example, I couldn't pick Venetian because I had it for something else. So the one that I thought was Fontainebleau. I love the entrance, the lobby area of Fontainebleau. There's beautiful, beautiful flower display. It's this big, vast space. So that's my favorite for casino entrance lobby area.
Okay. I can see that. I mean, as much as I didn't like Fontainebleau, it does have a very pretty casino entrance. And I didn't include Fontainebleau on my list at all for any of the topics. So I guess I could have. For this one, after I kind of backed into it, what I did, Josh, just to give some methodology on my choices, I started at the ones that I thought were not questionable at all. Right. And I put those in and locked them in.
Gotcha.
And then started working my way backwards through the list. But for casino entrance, which is something I tackled a little later in my review area, I said Cosmo. There's a lot of things Cosmo does well. Their porte cochere is fine. There's nothing super crazy about it. I do like the letters as you're coming in.
When they don't fall over on you.
Yeah, when they don't fall over on cars and stuff. But when you do get into the actual lobby itself of Cosmo, and you have those digital bookshelves and cases and like the women leaning up against the post on the videos, it's a cool area, super tall ceilings. I like the lighting. They do have a nice separate VIP area that we'll get to in a second when it comes to hotel check-in. But just that whole vibe when you first walk in, it hits me pretty well. So I went with Cosmo for this.
I actually don't have Cosmo anywhere in my casino Frankenstein. So I like that idea. I haven't spent enough time in Cosmo's entrance for it to really have popped into my head. Like I've been to Fontainebleau more recently, and I think that's just a really pretty space. But I don't think you go wrong with either one for an entrance.
Okay, so let's progress. The next one up is the hotel check-in area. Josh, what do you think is the best hotel check-in area?
Well, mine is, I don't know if best is the right, because this is best for our Frankenstein. So I'm keeping in mind I didn't have some options because I wanted to put them other places like you did. My hotel check-in is, this is probably going to surprise people, but Planet Hollywood.
It's going to surprise me because I'm throwing the challenge flag already.
Well, I would pick some other ones that I don't want to say yet because they're on other parts of my Frankenstein. But I like the Planet Hollywood check-in area for a couple of reasons. I like that it's on a different floor than the casino.
Okay.
So you're going in separately. So if there are big crowds waiting for transportation, waiting to check in, they're not gumming up the casino floor. So that's one thing. It's a separate area. It has that nice chandelier thing that at least you recognize what elevator you're supposed to go, or escalator rather, you're supposed to go down to get to the check-in area. It has a separate VIP diamond entrance off to the side. It's got its own Starbucks right there too with a special.
I knew that was going to come up.
It's got the IV, hydration place there if you need to get your infusion. But no, I think it's a really nice separate space that helps to kind of differentiate it from some other properties, and it fit well in my Frankenstein.
Okay, fair enough. I would argue with you over on many points that you just said. I think their VIP area is terrible. It's got room for about 5 people in it, and there's nothing special about it. Their main lines are just, they can be ridiculously long. They usually don't have enough people
Use the kiosk
working.
at Caesar's properties. You know that.
I guess. But yeah, so it's not my favorite. But that being said, Josh, I hated using it for this, but for hotel check-in area, I used Bellagio. I think Bellagio, whether you're doing a standard check-in out in the main lobby with, what is it, the Chihuly glass?
The Chihuly ceiling, you're right, yep.
It's got that above you that's just so beautiful.
It's got that
bright,
piano
it's
bar
airy.
right there.
I was going to mention that. You got the piano music that's playing most times, live piano music. And if you are a VIP, their VIP check-in area is significantly nicer. It's over next to the conservatory, which is really nice. So it's close. It's quiet in there. They have snacks and drinks. I'm going to use Bellagio for this one, although I could have easily used Bellagio for a couple other things. I do think they have a great check-in experience.
They have a beautiful check-in area. And I'm not going to argue with you, but I was going by the rules, so I was kind of forced into,
you shouldn't, because I win. Mine was better. So moving on to the third
win in some other
part.
areas.
Okay, fair enough. I bet you will as we go down this list. Okay, the third one, Josh, the actual hotel rooms and suites. And for this, I assume that he meant as a whole, whether you're staying in a basic room or a suite, who has the best mix out of all the properties?
And I went off the grid a little bit here. And in fact, we'll talk about it, but Chris was a little surprised by what I didn't include in my Casino Frankenstein. I picked Vidara. And again, I was trying to think of a variety because this category encompasses rooms and suites. So for me, I didn't want to pick Aria, for example, because although we love Sky Suites, I don't know that their regular rooms are all that fantastic anymore. Just that kind of thinking. So I liked Vidara, and I couldn't think of another place I'd want to put Vidara. I love Vidara's rooms for offering something for everyone. Like their basic rooms are still great because they're like little condos. And then, guys know we had the 2-story loft room that was spectacular. It's non-smoking. That doesn't really count for the rooms and suites, but I think the rooms and suites are really nice because they're the little apartments almost to themselves. They're little condos. So it's a nice kind of retreat from everything Vegas. So that's my hotel rooms and suites, even though, as we've talked about, there are other rooms or suites that I would choose more. Again, I'm trying to do my Casino Frankenstein.
You got to make it. And I understand the points that you made about Aria, Josh, but I still used Aria in this area because I felt like it was the best fit for them out of all the other topics that exist in this category. Right. This is where they fell the safest for me. Their suites are nice. They're very nice. The tower suites that they have and some of the corner suites, all their like normal level suites are terrific. Their sky suites are obviously amazing, right. Amazing, spectacular rooms. And yes, their base rooms, they need some help. But I said overall, if you put it all together, I think that's the safest bet for me. The other one that I considered potentially using here was Planet Hollywood, because they as well have some great suites and some nice basic rooms. But I wanted to use them for something else. So I chose Aria here begrudgingly, but I can live with it.
Now, you don't have Vidara on your list. Would you have considered switching Aria to Vidara? You're sticking to it?
No, I mean, Vidara's rooms are fine, but I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan. It's just not me. And part of the room experience and stuff is also, you know, what is the proximity to the gaming floor and stuff like that.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Like Caesar's Palace has some really nice rooms in some areas, but some of those towers,
right?
But yeah, some of those towers are a 6.5 mile walk to get to the casino floor. So no, I wouldn't pick them from that reason.
Well, and I was trying to just go with like the decor and feel of the room in my thinking.
I got you. Well, I mean, we're all coming at this from different areas and it's very subjective.
I win.
Okay. Well, the next one's the easiest one, Josh, even though I don't even like discussing it. Best sports book. If we had to pick a sports book to put in our property, I think it's easy for all of us to say Circa is going to be the winner here.
Yep, absolutely. Circa Sportsbook would go in my Frankenstein Casino for sure. I gave some thought to a couple others. I mean, I know the Caesar's Palace Sportsbook, and or Westgate is another one, but no, Circa is easy choice.
Okay, so without any further ado, let's keep it moving. The next category you had, Josh, was cage and cashiers. That's very specific because there's not anything too memorable about certain cages more than the others. Like maybe the location of it is important. Right. Are there bad lines consistently? In your eyes, though, Josh, what did you think is the best cage and cashiers?
I went a little somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but not completely tongue-in-cheek on this one. This was the last category I picked out of all of the ones that we have. I think it was one of the last Frankenstein Casino. So I was going from bottom of the barrel a little bit. No offense to the remaining properties out there, but I thought, who has a kind of an interesting cage? And I couldn't think of anything. And then I thought, who does, just by virtue of the historic nature of the property, is a little tiny cage. I've always had nice people there and the lines haven't been too long, is Golden Gate. So I picked for my Frankenstein Casino the cage and the cashiers at Golden Gate.
Wow, good for you. How many cashiers do they have there normally,
like
Josh?
Two, I think. Yeah.
Two, maybe?
One or two, right?
Yeah, I guess I haven't had enough experience there to actually have a feeling one way or the other. And you're right. This is something that I kind of put at the end of my list of things to use. I went with the Cromwell on this one, Josh. The Cromwell, it works well there because they do have their cashiers. I think they call it the bank there.
Yeah.
But they have 3 or 4 of them. But it's such a small property. I've never waited in line at the Cromwell.
It's easy to get to, yeah.
They don't have ropes out front trying to point you, get in line and do this because they just don't have that many people there at any given point. So it's a cashier that I can quickly access. It's 15 feet from the craps tables. It's 10 feet from their high limit blackjack. It's just an easy place to go.
So are those things at Golden Gate, by the way, too, though.
True. Yeah, that is true. Proximity.
Everything is very close. Yes.
So I went with the Cromwell on that one. The next one, this is one that I had to address very early in my choice, Josh, dealers, because dealers are extremely important to me and they can make or break a casino experience.
I think this was my first pick. I knew right away, and you guys are going to guess where we wanted to go, where I wanted to go. And that made my decisions harder in some of the other categories, as we talked about. But I picked Wynn. Wynn has my favorite dealers in all of Las Vegas. Bellagio was another possibility, but I wanted to use Bellagio for something else. Planet Hollywood was another one I thought about using Planet Hollywood's dealers, but they have the dancing dealers and the pleasure pit and all that stuff. That was a temptation, but really my Casino Frankenstein starts with the dealers at Wynn.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you at all. It's the first thing I picked and I put Wynn as well. It's what they're known for in my eyes. There's a lot of things that they do amazingly well. And yes, their basic rooms are the best basic rooms in Vegas. Mm-hmm. So I easily could have used them there as well because they have, amazing suites that I'll never get to see, but Josh has seen. So they do have a lot of good things. But yes, in my eyes, Wynn equals amazing dealers. So that's what I went with. The next one was a little tougher, Josh, slots, because there was a lot of places that I wanted to put, but I wouldn't say they're known for their slots. So what did you go with for slots?
Well, this was another one that I kind of picked towards the end where I was just trying to, it wasn't, to me, there's lots of places. I mean, I could have put Fontainebleau because they have new slots, and I could have put Wynn, or I could have put some of the places that we've played, but I had picked a lot of those properties, and I was thinking, okay, what are some other places that I've enjoyed playing slots? And then I thought about video poker, and I thought about last time I played video poker with Jack and Sean and Letty, and I thought I really enjoyed my experience at Resorts World. And so I went with Resorts World for my casino slots Frankenstein.
You know, I did too. And again, we didn't look at each other's list first, so it's kind of ironic that we did. The reason I chose them was a little bit different than yours, Josh. Yes, they do have really good video poker. I know everybody loves their high limit video poker bar because you can get some amazing drinks and some good games there. I really like their high limit slots there. I think they have a nice little comfortable room over there. So that's nice. They have plenty of new games. They have tons of slots to choose from, all the newest stuff. For people that like that sort of thing, you can load your money onto your player's card and play on the slot. I think they allow you to save slots, which I've never done, but I know a lot of people like where they can reserve a machine for 15 minutes just by locking it up. So then they can go use the restroom and come back and still have that slot available. So there's a lot of things that I think Resorts World does well in the slot area. So that's what I chose. The next one, this one was super hard. Table games. And Josh, that means to you whatever you want it to mean. It can mean dealers as well. But in my eyes, I'm thinking like the layout of the floor, what games they offer, what the quality of the game is, the dealers, the environment, all that stuff.
This one made Bellagio, my choice is Bellagio, and this is the reason I couldn't pick it for any of the other categories. We've talked about it before. My mind immediately went to the craps tables, the location of the craps tables at Bellagio. My absolute favorite place to gamble in all of Las Vegas is standing there at the craps tables at Bellagio because you're right in that main intersection. The people watching is fantastic. You even have a look at the supper club. You get, you just get everything there. The high limit slot room is right behind you with the high limit slot bathrooms. It's a fantastic location. And I like the whole, if we go kind of broader than the craps tables, I like the way that Bellagio is laid out. I like the decor in there, the original Steve Wynn, Roger Thomas, assuming he designed the casino, I don't know. But whoever it was, when they designed Bellagio, it's a beautiful casino floor, and the table games areas are all spectacular.
Yeah, and I'll even piggyback it and say on top of all that, Josh, they have a great high-limit table room there that they just redid recently. It's a great space if you want to play some blackjack, be ready to play $200-$300 a hand. But it's, a great space there. I really do like the Bellagio casino floor from that perspective. The only thing I will say about that main intersection at the T that you love so much for the craps tables, I too like it because it's got great energy. It's right next to the cage.
Right.
Same thing with Wynn. Their craps tables are right next to the cage. That's really nice. I don't like the tables on the back side of that pit though as much.
I don't either.
They feel very crowded.
Yeah.
You don't have any good sight lines back there. So as much as I agree with you, I only factor in like the front three tables.
You're right. That's all I thought about too. Yeah. And for what it's worth, though, I think that's true in my mind with the Wynn craps pit also. I don't like those back Wynn tables as much either.
True. Yeah, no, that's probably true as well.
Same
so
same
for
idea.
me, though, Josh, I said Planet Hollywood. We've talked about it a lot. I love their gaming floor for tables. They're spread out well. They're organized well. Amazing dealers, good quality games. They move very fast. The energy on the Planet Hollywood casino floor, I think, is almost unmatched.
It is. It's good energy.
It's always good, no matter when you're playing, what time of day. If it's nighttime, you do have the dancers up on the stage behind some of the pits so you can watch them. It's a really fun place to play, Josh. I remember before I was ever a big player by any means, I used to go out and I'd stay at Planet Hollywood a decent amount, but especially towards year end, I'd go out there for some concerts that were taking place in the Miracle Mile Theater.
Right.
And they used to have a blackjack table right
That's
in front
right.
of
I remember
the center
that. Yeah.
of the Heart Bar.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd go up the steps to that one blackjack table in the Heart Bar, and I played with a bunch of celebrities there that would walk up and just play before their shows and stuff. Just a really fun environment. I just really like Planet Hollywood. I wish we got to play there more. I'm not a Caesars fan from a players club perspective. I just don't think they do enough for their big players. So I don't give them any sort of major action, but I wish they would, because I would play at Planet Hollywood a ton if they could do more for me as a player.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me.
Okay, moving on, Josh, the next one. In my eyes, this was the easiest one, and you went a different direction, so I'm surprised on this. But for dining, I said Venetian. I think Venetian has the best mix of casual dining, fine dining, tons of choices, desserts and snacks, and just anything you could ever want. There's no place better in my eyes than Venetian, with Cosmo being a close second.
Well, I'm with you, except again, I think Venetian is probably what I put first. And because you have all the Grand Canal shops and everything like that. But I couldn't go with Venetian because I wanted to put Venetian somewhere else. And part of my rule in this whole exercise, in this Casino Frankenstein, was I had to pick places I was familiar with, that I'd been to. So I wanted to use Venetian somewhere else, which meant I couldn't use Venetian here. And so I was thinking, what are the best places? Again, going back to my prime directive, if you want to use your Star Trek language, which I know you do, going back to my prime directive, I went back to what's the best thing about Caesars. And I thought about, okay, Caesars has the forum shops and all those food options associated with it. And so that's why I went with Caesars. There's just so many choices. You've got nice steakhouses. You've got the really nice restaurants. You've also got the food court. And then all the restaurants, you've got Vanderpumps and all that stuff and everything else in the forum shops.
Okay, I can't argue with you there. I don't love their food court. I just don't like the options that they have available really there. But no, I get you. They do have a ton of really nice options available there, so I won't argue with you too much. The next one, Josh, I have is show, the best show that you could put at a casino. I can't believe we didn't use Win to put Awakening here.
I know.
I mean, that was a hard choice not to use it. In my eyes, though, Josh, I went with Caesar's Palace and gave them credit for having absinthe.
Yes. Yeah. I thought you were going to go with just the facility of like the, what's the place that Celine sings in? The Cosmo.
Oh, the Coliseum.
Yeah, the Coliseum. That would be another reason you could pick Caesars for sure. It's just the venue. I went a little different ways. I went again with something we've talked about recently. I went Excalibur for my casino.
Because the Thunder from Down Under? Is that what we're going with?
That wasn't even, I didn't even think of that until you just said it.
Sure you didn't.
No, I was thinking about Mac King and I was thinking about the Tournament of Kings. For my Casino Frankenstein, again, I'm limited in my choices a little bit here. I thought there are some good shows at Excalibur. I want to get Excalibur on my Casino Frankenstein somehow. I'm going with shows.
Okay. Well, I'm sure listeners will 100% agree with you there, Josh. Moving on to the next one. This one was a little tougher for me because I'm not a spa person by any means. I just don't go to them. Josh, what did you have for your spa pick?
Well, this was the tricky one for me, and this actually informed my choices in lots of other ones. So, because I've only been to 3 spas in Vegas, and I wanted to pick places I'd actually been to. So I've been to Canyon Ranch at Venetian, I've been to the Wynn Spa, and I've been to the Aria Spa. So I was limited to those 3. So for me to answer this category, took one of those 3 properties off the table.
Gotcha.
So that's why I picked Venetian here, because that's the only one of the spas of the 3 that I didn't want to put a category somewhere else. So I went with Venetian.
I mean, that is just very admirable of you, Josh, sticking to your guns there and being truthful to yourself. Like I said, I don't go to any of these places, honestly. So it's
you
all
had free reign. Chris picked free reign to choose
at
Four Queens.
Yes, it made it much easier for me because I could use a property that I like, but that I didn't need to use anyplace else. And I put Red Rock, Josh. I've heard nothing but good things about Red Rock Spa. Everybody says it's very nice. So for me, I chose Red Rock. But to be fair, yes, it was just a placeholder to fill that spot and not take up a choice I wanted somewhere else.
It took up one of my big 3, so I was limited.
Okay, fair enough. How about pool, Josh? I know neither one of us really goes to the pool very much, but I have been to a handful of pools in Vegas and have some firsthand experience. What did you choose?
Yeah, I'm limited in my pools. I could have picked the European pool at Wynn, except for I had picked Wynn already. The one that I liked that I've been to a couple times are some of the pools at Mandalay Bay. I think there's a wave pool there that I went to a long time ago. So I went with Mandalay Bay.
Okay, fair enough. And I went with the MGM Grand, even though I don't really like that property at all. They do have a lazy river that I've been to more than once staying there. It's nice. I mean, if you like lazy rivers, it's a great one.
Yeah, kids love it.
And I considered a lot of different things here that I hadn't used yet. Like people love the Flamingo pool, and I hadn't used Flamingo yet. So I thought about putting that on there. I don't really like the Resorts World Complex for pools very much from what I've seen, so I couldn't go with that. But yeah, MGM Grand for me is going to be the pick.
That's a good pick. As we're working through this, I can think of there's just like so many categories that come up that could go on more categories on the Casino Frankenstein. As you were talking about Flamingo, I thought that could be the best sign or best neon or, that kind of thing.
I like that too, Josh. But the last category that we were provided, elevators. I have very limited thoughts about elevators in general. But Josh, what are your best elevators in Vegas?
Well, I don't know if it's best elevator, but on my Casino Frankenstein, I want the elevators from the Link, formerly Imperial Palace, because they're notoriously awful. There aren't very many of them. They're slow. They're still slow, I think, although it's possible that a couple were added. But I think if I'm going to put elevators in this category, and I can't choose the really good ones because we've already talked about those properties. Although now that I have not included Aria on my list, which I didn't realize until Chris pointed it out to me, I could have picked the elevators at Aria, but I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going with the elevators at Link, slightly tongue in cheek.
Okay, fair enough. I was in the same boat as you, Josh. This was the second to last category that I picked. And I was like, what can I put? I went with Luxor.
I love your choice.
Just because they have the inclinators.
The inclinators, yeah.
So it's unique. They're not very fast. They're broken most of the time is what I hear. But from that standpoint, at least it is something unique.
Yeah. Elevators is a great category. Now we have cocktail servers.
And we do. So cocktail servers, Josh, we don't have a lot of casinos left to choose from. So in your eyes, what would you patch in here for decent cocktail service?
Chris, why don't you go ahead and go first on this one? I'm still thinking.
Okay, fair enough, Josh. My quick thought on this out of properties that I haven't used, this was easy. Encore. I've used Wynn. I haven't used Encore. Encore has beautiful waiters and waitresses. They have terrific drinks. The service is usually very good. It's prompt. They have Fiji water out on the main floor, which I love. They have good liquors available. I'm going with Encore.
Just to be different, and since I actually have not used it yet, as I said, I'm going with Aria.
Okay.
There we go.
I disagree with you. I think they have terrible drink service.
Actually,
that's okay.
No, at the craps table, sometimes you have good ones. And there was one server that I had this great interaction with all day. She was at the craps tables one day, and then I saw her out when I was at the slot machines, and she remembered me. So that's as good enough reason as any to pick cocktail servers at Aria.
Okay, fair enough. So Josh, I think this was a super fun experience to go through all this and try to figure it out. We will put this on our social medias, so you guys can have a little fun with it too. I can't wait to hear your feedback on it. You can tell us what an idiot we are and what we forgot about. It'll be a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. And think about what your Casino Frankenstein looks like at the end, and would it be a place you'd want to go to?
Yeah, absolutely. After the break, Josh, we'll answer some listener questions. The CV Big Wheel is back and so much more. So stick around. Josh, Zorkfest 2024, it feels like it's sneaking up on us now. I mean, today, we're in August at this point. I mean, it's only a couple months away, November 1st through 3rd.
I know. I'm very excited about it. I think they've got the balcony rooms on the Versailles Tower at Bally's open. And I know some of the people that are going to Zorkfest are already hoping to get those balcony rooms. I'm going to sneak off and stay at Planet Hollywood. So if anybody that's going to Zorkfest wants to duck over to Planet Hollywood with me, I have to, keep away from all the fame that goes with being a part of
People
Zorkfest.
Just track you down left and right. Can I have a signature here? Can you pay for my tab? All that good stuff.
I think it's possible that Adam Bauer might also make his way over to Planet Hollywood. We'll see. It's where all the cool influencers will be, apparently.
Well, if nothing else, that will keep everybody away.
Exactly. One way or the other. But anyway, no, Zorkfest is going to be a lot of fun. Lots of points and miles discussions. Of course, we'll have our influencers podcaster After Dark panel. A lot of fun. The coffee dice session, dice lab, blackjack labs, all sorts of things. Don't forget, this is all brought to you by Michael Traeger at Travel Zork Travel, a great place that Chris and I have both used for our outside of Vegas travel needs. If you're looking to kind of live it up and go a little VIP, Michael and people at Travel Zork Travel are a great way to go. And if you want to see us all and learn more, Zorkfest, as Chris said, November 1st through 3rd at Bally's, or I should say at Horseshoe.
Yeah, so get on over there, travelzork.com/Zorkfest to get signed up today, and I hope you guys have a great time.
Thank you.
Listener questions. We got an email from Mark. Mark said, "Hey guys, I absolutely love your trip recaps. It's amazing how many fun things you guys are able to sneak into a weekend. That is 100% true. We stay very busy. Couple questions based on your last trip and recent discussions. Number one, if comps were equal at all properties, where would you stay?"
Well, thanks for the question, Mark. I think it's probably an obvious choice. I'm staying at Wynn. If comps are equal, there's, for me, no reason I wouldn't want to stay there. I mean, food might be a slight option, but I'm staying at Wynn. It's really only comps and food and beverage that pulls me to other properties, I think. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, if all comps are equal, I'd be at win every single trip. I mean, that's easy. They offer the best of almost everything.
Yeah.
Short of shows, they don't have any decent shows I would ever want to see, really. Other than like Josh, and that's a good point though. Other than some of their headliners that come through, comedians, and bands and stuff like that, and we have harder time getting tickets to those shows. So it does make it unequal for our perspective.
Yeah, and going back for just a second to Casino Frankenstein, when we were picking the show category, and I picked Excalibur, one of the places I considered was Venetian, because of the headliner, the comedy headliners that come, and Atomic Saloon and that kind of thing.
Question number 2, would you ever stay somewhere you wouldn't play on a trip? Josh, would you stay where you're not playing?
Oh, sure. I mean, and I'm taking Vidara out of this, but because I don't know if that really counts because you can't play at Vidara. But yeah, I've stayed lots of times when I have had no play trips. And if I knew I was going to not care about my Theo or rating or any of that kind of stuff, I'm more than happy to stay someplace that I like to stay and then go play somewhere else.
See, and you and I are exact opposites on that. I will not stay a place I'm not playing. I think it's a bad idea for many reasons, so I won't do it. If I'm going to be low playing or no playing on a trip to Vegas, which effectively never happens
you
anymore.
Can't do that, yeah.
But if it does, I'm going to stay at a Caesars property where I don't care about what happens as a result of it, and I'll play there. But at the same time, no, I'm not staying at Planet Hollywood and walking across the street to Bellagio to play, or I'm not staying at Vidara and walking over to Aria to play. I'm just not doing it. I mean, I go to Vegas because I like to gamble. That's a big part of it.
Right.
And I want that to be something that's fairly easy for me to do. And making a walk or going to a different property just doesn't make sense.
No, you wouldn't even do it. You use the Vidara Aria example. I mean, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't stay at Cosmo and play at Aria. That kind of idea.
I wouldn't give Aria most of my play, the majority of it. No.
Gotcha.
Like if my intention is to play at Aria, I'm staying at Aria.
Right.
And if I'm staying at Cosmo, 90% of my play is going to be at Cosmo.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense.
Question 3. What is your favorite event, show, etc. that a host has provided you at no cost?
Well, we've talked about it on the show, but I was really, really fortunate kind of during the end of COVID to be invited to the Academy of Country Music Awards or whatever it was at Allegiant Stadium. And that was a fantastic experience. It was great to see it. I got to be on the red carpets I'm in or was in the Amazon video. It was all sorts of fun. And that was a really special thing that our host provided to me and to Chris, but he couldn't do it. And so that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of thoughts run through my mind here, Josh, but maybe it's recency bias, but I'm thinking Lady Gaga was probably the best like show experience that I've had. It was completely comped. The seats you could not beat. They were amazing.
They were fantastic.
And we couldn't have done that without our host that we have over at MGM Properties. So yeah, it was awesome.
Also a good choice.
And the final question he had, what is the bare minimum a property needs to offer you to get you there? RFB, more, less? Josh, what do you have to get at a minimum to go to a property?
Well, it depends what my intention is. So if my intention is to not gamble as much or not want to worry about it, then they don't have to offer me much other than a free room with probably no resort fee. That'll get me in the door at like a Caesars property. So for instance, at Zorkfest, I'm going to be staying at a Caesars property at Planet Hollywood because I don't want to worry about my play too much. I'll gamble. I'm going to give them some play, but I don't want to think about that. So as long as I'm getting a comp room with no resort fee, that's fine. But for the level Chris and I play, for a property to really motivate me to get me there, it's got to be over $500 in free play and similar in food and beverage, I think, to move the needle. Now, the exception is when Chris and I pretty much get unlimited food and beverage and maybe or maybe not some free play or promotional chips kind of thing. It depends on the time and offer and things, but Win, sometimes it's just F&B that'll get me there because it's Win. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think Win is the answer here because that is the bare minimum somebody can offer that I still go. So I guess the answer for me is RFB. Give me a room, food, and beverage, and I'll consider coming there.
Yeah.
Win is so hard, Josh, when you talk about free play and things like that and giveaways.
It is.
Because they don't have like, if you just book any time during the month, you get this amount, like MGM and Venetian and Caesars and all those places do. They do random promotions that usually last a week. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, but you'll get random emails from them saying, for this week and a half period, we'll give you a $750 gift card. And for this week and a half period, we'll give you $1,500 in free play. And the other 2 weeks of the month, we'll give you absolutely nothing. It's all over the place. It really just happens to be, does your trip correspond with a better offer that you would actually want? And so it's kind of difficult to rate them because they're so all over the place. I really wish they would just say, instead of 1,500 this week and 500 this week and this slot tournament entry this week, just give me a flat number every time I come and call it a day.
Well, and Chris, I think that from what I see online, some of our listeners, their win offers do come with that more than ours do. We get lots of food and beverage, but Chris and I, our normal standard offers that we get quarterly or whatever it is that Win sends them out, don't usually include free play. As Chris said, we're getting special offers.
Well, I think the reason that is, Josh, is most of those people getting consistent offers like that, they're slot players.
Yep, that's exactly
they're
what I
not
was
table
gonna
games
say.
players. Win seems to offer, every time you come, $300, $500 in slot play to their slot players. But unfortunately, if you're a table games player, it seems you almost have to wait for the big table games chip giveaway event that they usually have one every about 2 months.
Yeah.
They'll have like a 10-day window where you can get a pretty decent chunk. On their most recent offering, Josh, I was looking at their T's and C's on this. On their free play offer that they're doing promo chips, the lowest amount they give is $750.
Gotcha.
And then it's $1,500, $3,000, $5,000. And Win on all those offers also allows you to double up. So whatever they offer you, they will double it if you hit a tier credit threshold. But that tier credit threshold is usually pretty significant.
Right.
I think if I remember correctly, for the $1,500 offer I got, they wanted like 50 or 60,000 tier credits to double it up. That's just the way that they operate. But yeah, I do wish it was more consistent for table games players.
For sure. Thanks for the question.
We got an email from John B. Hey guys, I have a blackjack question for you guys. I rarely play blackjack, but was there with a friend for his birthday, and that's the game he chose. I was sitting at the far left side of the table, so he's at third base, Josh. He's the last act. And here's what he said. Multiple times, the people at the other end of the table were mad with decisions I made and repeatedly would get upset if we, quote, lost the hand because of my choice, unquote. Keep in mind, I think I was making the right choice each time it happened. My question is, long term, does it matter at all what I do? And second, how would you handle this situation? The other two guys were playing significantly more money than me on the table, so I felt bad about it.
I get the feeling bad about it, first of all. Thanks, John. I really do, and I kind of feel the same way as you. Chris is going to say that it makes no difference in the long run. I'm almost positive he's going to say that. But as you're playing it, for me, and I think I'm probably like a lot of blackjack players, I sit there and I see the person on third base do something, I'm going to say not right, not according to the book. And I think, darn it, especially if it goes wrong, because that's when we notice it. But it doesn't make a difference in the long run. And yes, if you've got big players sitting on first base and second base and you're on third and they're getting cranky with you and they're betting 10 times the amount you are, it's easy to feel self-conscious and that kind of thing. And your choices are really to just kind of stick it out, or you don't really want to confront them probably. Just get up and go to another table if you're feeling like you're not having fun, because that's what it's about.
Well, Josh knows me too well. The decisions that you make, John, completely meaningless. I assume you're playing at either a 6-deck or 8-deck shoe. That one card out of 300 or 400 cards, it's effectively meaningless at the end of the day on any sort of future odds of what's going to happen. We remember the times that we caused the dealer to make a hand. Mm-hmm. We don't remember the times that you taking that little card caused the dealer to bust. It's just selective memory when it comes to that sort of thing. Yep. As for those other people at the table, if you're uncomfortable playing with them for that reason, then yeah, just color up and go play at a different table. I'm a little bit different in that I'm a little obstinate. I'd rather piss them off a little bit more, so I'll keep playing as long as I possibly can. And sometimes, especially if it's low limit, I'll do even stupider stuff just to piss them off a little bit more. Splitting faces
Chris
is a
like
good way
that.
to piss people off.
Oh, yeah.
Josh, a question from Matt on the CV Facebook group. He said, headed to Vegas in a few weeks and play the 3-point Molly strategy on traditional craps. Would love to try crapless, but I believe I heard in an episode that come bets are not a smart bet. Thing is, on a crapless table, I'm not sure when to make a buy or a place bet, or perhaps even skip the pass line bet altogether. Can you share when to make a buy versus a place bet on crapless? And I guess, Josh, maybe start on his question about come bets. Why are come bets a bad bet on a crapless table?
Well, and I don't have the odds in front of me or the house edge in front of me today, but on a crapless table, the house edge on a pass line bet, which is the same as a come bet, is roughly, I think it's 5 or 6%. It's a big house edge. So the reason that we recommend staying away from come bets and pass line, if you can, although sometimes it's hard to stay away from the pass line, but if you can, is it's that big house edge. That's pretty simple. And then when you're making those place bets or buy bets, is the same as you normally would. So on a normal craps table, you wait until the point is established, and then you buy the 10 or you buy the 12 or you place the 6, that kind of thing.
And I'm not 100% sure, Matt, I should have asked whether your question was more concerned with like when a buy bet is more appropriate than a place bet.
Mm-hmm.
And for most places that you're going to play, especially if we're talking Vegas, they're going to auto buy that bet at $20 or more. That's just standard practice. You pay the VIG on a win only in Vegas on all these games. So yeah, it's much better to take the auto buy on those 2, 3s, 4s, 10, 11s, 12s.
Yes.
And the 5 and 9 if they'll offer it to you. It just depends on where you're playing. But yeah, you'll do a buy bet on those, and you would place it if it was less than 20, if it was 15 or 10. Although finding that level table for crapless is quite hard to do sometimes, unless you're maybe at the Strat.
And I've seen $15 crapless at Park, and our advice on crapless goes out the window if you're not doing those $20 or higher buy bets on the extreme numbers. Placing those numbers, not buying them, but placing them, is a not good bet.
Yes, I would avoid those bets at that point. And Josh, we've talked about it before. The reason that the come bet is not a smart bet in general is because on a crapless table, the 2, 3, 11, and 12 can become points. And as you can imagine, hitting those points is much harder than hitting a 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
Yep.
So that's what increases that house edge pretty significantly. So yeah, just stay away if you can on those things.
Thanks, Matt.
We received a DM from Tony. He said, "Hi guys, I was wondering if I get offered comp rooms from the Venetian, what happens if I don't get any play-in? Should they charge me for the rooms, or will they just not offer me rooms in the future?"
Well, I can't say specifically to Venetian's terms and conditions, but most properties, I think in their little fine print, say that your comp room is dependent on playing to your historical level or something like that. In truth, in reality, I have not heard of a player being charged on a comp offer because of no play or low play. So I think the chances of that happening, pretty low, but the chances of you getting a repeat offer if you no play or really low play, probably also pretty low. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, if you're willing to burn that bridge, just expect what's going to come from doing that. Most of those places say that the comps are conditional, and they'll give it. And if you look at the bottom of your confirmation, it will give the details of what that means. Win is very big about labeling things as conditional comps. That's the only place I've ever heard of a player booking a room, not giving them play, and then having them try to claw back the cost of the room when he went to check out. And that would be a messy situation.
Oh,
It's not a situation I want to get into. If you have a host, all that's avoidable, because you can just have that discussion with them up front and say, I'm not going to play much this trip. I'm not going to play at all this trip.
Right.
Is that okay? And as long as they say yes, then you're covered because the host will take care of it. If you're just booking a marketing offer, you're more at the whim of whoever happens to be working that day. But yeah, I usually just try to be upfront with them and then see what they say.
Yep.
Last question this week, Josh. It was from Darby over on the CV Facebook group. Darby said, when someone asks you, why do you like Vegas so much? What is your response? I've been 7 times in the past 2 years. Just got back from my most recent trip, ready to go back again. That's a question that comes up a lot. Josh, when somebody asks you, why do you like to go to Vegas so much? What's your answer?
So my answer, and we all get this question. I think every Vegas fan gets the question about what do you love about Vegas? And I try not to say, I don't know about you, Chris, but I love to gamble. Or that's
but
not
I don't think
usually,
that's it though.
It's not. That's what I was going to say. That's a little bit of it, obviously. But for me, what I love about Vegas and what I think we try and promote on the show and what I think is true with a lot of people is I love that Vegas has something for everybody. And I love that Vegas has whatever I want to do within reason, I can probably find in Las Vegas. If I want to gamble, if I want to shop, if I want to eat fine dining, if I want to go to great shows, I think it has something for everybody.
I mean, I think the gambling is the primary reason that I go to Vegas. But at the same time, I can gamble at home. I got plenty of properties near me that I can go gamble at that I enjoy gambling at every once in a while. But the environment between Vegas and locally are two completely different things.
Yes.
What I'd rather spend half my day flying across the country to Vegas to gamble there for 8 hours and fly immediately home that night than I would go up to my local casino and get there and back in 4 hours.
Right.
There's just something about the environment. There's something about the level of the dealers. It's a completely different game. I don't know why it is, but I'm in a completely different mindset. It's like I become a different person when I'm in Vegas for that day or two.
It's true.
My personality changes. What I do changes. Like I'm not all of a sudden like smoking and I don't normally smoke or anything. But, I just feel like a completely different person when I'm in Vegas, and I can't explain why, but it's the truth.
That's a really good way to articulate it. I'm the same way, and I'm not all of a sudden smoking in Vegas either, but I am doing things that I won't do at home on a daily basis.
So I think that will wrap up the questions this week. Thank you all, and let's talk about Patreon. Patreon.com/crapvegas. Josh, what do we got new over there?
Well, last show we did our CVTV, and so Chris and I, as you know, or if you're patrons or if you follow along, are going and doing a rewatch and talk through and live commentary on Casino Confidential, which is a show that ran for one season in 2013, I think. Have a lot of fun with Binions downtown. Chris and I are having a great time watching those and really enjoying it, and we probably have another CVTV episode coming up. One thing I did want to mention for our patrons, we do get questions about, again, everybody asks what's special about our Patreon. One of the things that Chris and I are proud of is we try and keep the main show fresh and engaging, but we also want to make our CVP shows, our Patreon shows special too. And for our basic level, you get access to our every other week show on Patreon, our CVP shows, which include the CVTV. And then for $20 a month, you can be a KCS patron and have access to those special shows, the CVP shows, and the unedited video feed of this here regular podcast.
Yeah, lots to do over there if you're interested. So a big thank you to those that signed up over the past 2 weeks. That is TY4KC. I think maybe it's Ty for KC.
That's his given name?
I'm not sure. Timothy B, Brian L, Tom Y, Matt J, Kip D with an annual subscription. Thanks, you, Kip. Brian F, Dylan P, Jennifer G, and Adam A with the illustrious annual KCS membership, Josh.
Oh, thank you, Adam. You think Jennifer G is Jennifer Garner?
Most likely is. I like to think any
that
sort
would be really
of
cool.
first name, last initial that corresponds with the celebrity. It probably is.
Yeah, we're going to go with that. Thanks, Jennifer. Okay. Thanks, Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody that have signed up recently. We really do appreciate it. Upcoming trips, Josh. It's a little different from the last time we recorded, thanks to some input that I received. We're going to be there August 16th through 18th, but we're not going to be at Wynn anymore, Josh. We're now going to be at the Venetian.
Yes, we had, Chris had really wanted to stay at Wynn for his birthday trip, and that was the plan, but we pivoted because we're going to go see Lewis Black at Venetian while we're there. And Lewis Black is going to be retiring, I think, pretty soon. So we thought he's a Venetian. It'd be pretty fun to see him before he's gone away. And so we decided to stay at Venetian. And then I'll be moving over to Sky Suites after that.
Maybe we're just maturing as Vegas visitors, Josh, but I find that I'm being driven a lot more now where I'm staying by activities that are available at that property.
I agree. It's the same for me. It's kind of fun, actually, to move around to these different properties, but we do still miss some of the old standbys.
Yeah, I'm sure I will end up at Wynn at some point in the next couple months.
I'm sure you will too.
But yeah, when we were trying to plan this trip, I was asking Josh, I was like, hey, is there a show you want to see? Who's the headliners in town that week? And we looked, and I think Wynn had a comedian that we would have been potentially seeing. But it's almost difficult to ask our host for tickets to something like that. And I have zero faith that
we don't
the seats
know if
will
get
be
it
in
right.
any reasonable location in the place. But then we saw that Lewis Black was going to be at Venetian. I'm a big Lewis Black fan. I think he's hilarious. And I think he's literally got like 1 month left before he permanently retires. So this is probably one of the last chances anybody will have to see him. So I'm really excited to get over there. Our host is taking care of tickets for that. Venetian's always enjoyable every time we go. So I just think it will be a quick, fun weekend. And then, of course, Josh is there for another 2 days. So he doesn't even care because he gets to go to property number 2 on Sunday.
Yep. And I think, Chris, for a meal, we're going to eat at Buddy's, right? Is that what we decided?
Oh, yeah. We're going to Buddy Valestro's Italian restaurant, and we're trying something different this time. So we'll let you know how it goes. Friendly reminder to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app or to visit our merch store. That's crapvegas.com/shop. We got those new Big Dice Energy shirts in. Everybody's been buying those, and I've heard nothing but good things about them. And for some reason, though, even though it's the middle of summer, Josh, everybody is buying our hoodies again right now. And I've had to let a couple people know that they are super comfortable. They really are. I guarantee it's the most comfortable hoodie you will ever have. I was out of stock on a couple sizes, so I have those on order right now. So a couple people are waiting on certain sizes to come in. But yeah, get on over those and order those if you want to. We'd love to have you over there. But Josh, I guess it's time for the big wheel.
Let's give it a spin.
It's time to spin the Crap Vegas Big Wheel. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
You ask me that every week.
I know.
And it never changes.
It's a tradition.
It is. Unlike any other.
All right, Chris. Oh, this is interesting. This is an audio daily double.
I'll take it for 800, Alex.
Hi, this is Liberace. You know, I take a lot of kidding about my costumes that I wear on the stage, but I really don't mind. As long as you enjoy seeing them, I enjoy wearing them. But make no mistake about those costumes, they become an expensive joke. And that's why I'm so particular about the care of my costumes. To keep them looking their very expensive best, I trust Vic Plassman of Steiner Cleaners, who cleans and refurbishes them just like new. However, he keeps my slack sports shirts and jeans looking great too. And he's so conveniently located right between my home and the Liberace Museum on Tropicana and Maryland Parkway.
Is this a paid advertisement? Do we have a new sponsor that I didn't know about?
I found Liberace doing a dry cleaning commercial. That had to be part of the wheel.
I have no further comment.
I didn't think you would.
Okay. Spin it again, Josh.
All right, let's spin it again. So this is kind of a serious wheel stop, Chris. And we wanted to give a big RIP to Vegas legend, comedy legend, Bob Newhart, who passed away since we recorded our last show. And I thought we'd take a few minutes to kind of remember Bob Newhart. And Chris, were you ever a fan of his TV shows or anything?
No, see, he predates me completely, Josh. I think my grandparents were Bob Newhart fans, which means you would like it.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I just don't have much of a frame of reference. I mean, I know he had a TV show.
Right.
I know he was kind of, like deadpan humor sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have much to say about him.
So no, I understand. That's okay. He doesn't predate us because he just died. So he doesn't predate us all the way, but I get your point. Like he was big.
Him and his prime is well before my time.
So I got to see him, let's see, it would have been somewhere around the early 2000s. He came to Seattle to perform, which was really cool. I think his kids lived in Seattle or probably still do. So he was there fairly often, but he performed. But I was a fan of kind of the reruns of the original Bob Newhart show, which is like from the 70s. And then I'm more of a fan of Newhart, his show that was, I think, in the 80s. And so I was looking around for something Vegas gambling related of Bob Newhart that I could play for us. And I found this. So bear with me. I'm going to set it up. This is actually a clip, not from his comedy routines, but from the TV show. And the character's name, just to kind of give you reference, is Dick Loudon. So if you hear somebody refer to Dick, that's Bob Newhart's character. And here we go. And Chris, tell me what gambling system this reminds you of.
I mean, how can you do this?
Do what?
How can you gamble? You don't know how to play poker and you don't know how to play golf.
Hey, wait a minute, Dick. We beat you today at golf.
You beat me because I shot 132. And even at that, I beat Chester. Look, I'm trying to give you a chance to win back your money, but how can I give you a chance when you're playing like jerks?
We're sorry, Dick.
We'll try to play better.
Look, you can't play better, and I don't think I can play any worse. We're just going to have to find a game that requires no skill at all.
What about bridge?
Look, I tell you what, why don't we just cut for high card, the whole $600, me against the three of you.
Is this something you're good at?
There's no such thing as being good at this. Who's going to cut for you?
Well, who feels lucky?
It doesn't matter. Pick someone.
I think I do.
All right, fine. It's me against Chester, $600, double or nothing. If I lose, you get all your money back, split between you.
Good luck, Chester.
Chester, cut.
9.
King.
Does that mean we owe you $1,200?
For now, but I'm going to lose. Don't you see? I'm going to lose eventually. It's the law of averages. All right, cut again.
Jack.
Queen.
Get out your calculator, Jim.
It's $2,400. All right. Cut again.
Hey, wait a minute, Nick. $2,400 is a lot of money.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to lose. Cut.
You cut first.
4.
2.
$4,800.
Why don't we just write him a check and get out of it while we can? I don't have that kind of money.
I don't want your money. I want you to keep cutting.
Sure, who wouldn't? 7.
King.
$9,600.
My wife will kill me.
No, she won't. Cut.
I'm getting out of here.
No one's getting out of here until I lose all my money. Now sit down and cut.
He's a madman.
Cut.
8.
10.
$19,200.
That's more than I make in a year.
Don't worry about it.
I have children to put through school. I was thinking of retiring.
Cut. Cut.
7.
10.
$38,400.
That's it. I'll have to sell my house.
No, you won't.
Have mercy, Dick.
Cut.
5.
3. Finally.
3.
3?
We won.
Thank God.
We won.
I can't believe it. Dick owes us $38,000.
No, I don't. It's double or nothing. Now it's nothing.
You mean we don't get anything?
So you got a nice martingale system going in real life there. That's very exciting.
That's why I thought it would be appropriate for the show.
So rest in peace to Bob Newhart. Hate to hear that, but he obviously was very important to you, Josh.
Yeah, he was a special part of he was a little older than I was, so I wasn't really in his, I was more in the kind of the Robin Williams time frame, but a lot of respect for Bob Newhart. Okay, so with the wheel wrapping up, Josh, anything else before we head out of here? The last thing I think we want to do is just a kind of a somewhat serious goodbye to Jeff Does Vegas. Jeff, the host of the Jeff Does Vegas podcast, has announced that he's wrapping up the show and calling it quits. And that's been a fun show that I've listened to, one of the first Vegas-related shows that I kind of caught on to. I particularly liked his dive into Las Vegas history and some of the guests that he had on. So just wanted to say goodbye, and it was a good run. Congratulations on your podcasting retirement, Jeff. And if you want to hear more about why he's stepping away and everything else, you can check out his most recent episode. That's what I got. Okay, other than that, Josh, I guess we'll get out of here. It was a lot of fun. We'll do it again in a couple weeks. But until then, everybody, have a good day. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Vegas, here we come.
Thanks for listening to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Have you ever been to Vegas?
Check out all our recent news and our Vegas trip calendar by visiting crapvegas.com.
See you in Vegas.
Okay, let's try this again. It's.
I wasn't actually expecting you to start over. All right, go for it. When you said I want big pops, the first thing that popped into my head was, and I cannot lie.
Really?
Yes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, okay. I do, but
okay.
I don't see how Sir Mix-a-Lot has anything to do with any of this.
You just said I like big pops, and that's what the cadence or something, that's what made it pop into my head.
I like big pops.
Cocktail servers.
Oh, well, let's throw that in at the Josh. Okay. Throw that in at the Josh.
At the Josh.
I mean, I assume you're probably playing at a 6 or even an 8 shoe. Or 8 shoe.
That's a lot of shoe. The table would be full at an 8 shoe.
What's an 8 shoe? Yeah. Okay, Josh. Well, that was a fun little topic. And I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Let's give the big wheel. Hold on.